Alright, so this is Doom ray traced. How freaking sick is this? And this is running on my Radeon, AMD Radeon RX 6750 XT. And for the most part, running pretty well. You can see there's a little bit of weird glitchiness going on with the HUD down there at the bottom. I am not sure exactly what's up with that. I couldn't figure out how to fix that, but yeah, other than that, this looks pretty good, and it's running fairly well. We are running at 1080p with FSR on quality, I believe. We will double check that and take a look at the settings in a moment. But yeah, this is really awesome. I believe this is made with the same, I guess, almost like a developer kit where NVIDIA provides some of the tools for people that want to try and add ray tracing to older games. I remember one of the first ones being, I believe it was Portal. Half-Life 2 or Portal, and then Quake, and I believe this is using the same tools. And initially those didn't run very well on Radeon cards. I remember when the Portal ray tracing thing came out. I mean, if you tried to run that on a Radeon card, you were barely running at all. And you know, obviously Radeon cards aren't as good at ray tracing as the NVIDIA cards, but they're not that much worse. It's, of course, just the program wasn't optimized for them. Which makes sense. They're using NVIDIA tools, and I mean, that wouldn't have been a priority in the early days of these kind of ray tracing mods. But yeah, at some point, this got updated, and they added or improved the Radeon performance. And so here we are. I would say it's running pretty good. Super easy to get running, if I didn't mention that. I'll have the link in the description. But you basically just have to download the zip file, put your Doom WAD in the folder, and run it. And that's it. This just ran. For me, it defaulted to 720p, and I did turn it up to 1080p. And when I did that, I found that it felt a little sluggish. The mouse movement felt a little bit sluggish. And so then I turned on... well, they have an option for CRT interlacing, which of course they say improves performance because you're only drawing every other line of resolution per frame, so it's like half resolution rendering. But it does make the image look a little bit softer, and sometimes you see the combing artifacts from the interlacing. And so I didn't really like that, so I turned that off and then tried the FSR. By default, FSR is off. VSync is on. Again, I'll try and give you a look at the... I think I went up there already, didn't I? I'll try and give you a look at the options menu if I remember to. But yeah, so this is running at 1080p. Again, defaulted to 720p. I turned it up to 1080p. At 1080p, I could tell with the mouse movement, it was a little sluggish. Felt a little bit laggy. But with FSR, I believe we're on FSR quality. There was an FSR high quality, and then I turned it down one more. And yeah, running pretty good now. I don't know exactly if it's running at like 60 frames per second. Again, VSync's enabled. My monitor is 170 hertz. So we know it's not running anywhere close to that, but I don't know. If you told me it's running at maybe like 50 frames per second right now, 45, 50, I'd believe it. I don't think it's running at 60. But again, if we wanted, we could turn the FSR down, I guess up, you would say, one notch, or we could turn that interlacing mode on. But again, I think it looks better right now than it does with the interlacing mode on. Although it might have ran a little bit smoother with the interlacing mode on compared to this FSR, which might make sense if the interlace mode is like a half-res rendering. I'm not sure what FSR quality would be at 1080p, but maybe 720p. Yeah, recently in the news, Doom 2 ray tracing has kind of been making its rounds. And I gotta say, I think it does look even more impressive than this. But honestly, I'm just more of a fan of Doom. Growing up, like a lot of people, I just had Doom, you know, the shareware, you know, episode 1 here. And so that's what I grew up playing. I never owned, like, the full version of Doom with the other episodes. And so, yeah, Doom 2 ray tracing just got my attention, but honestly it just made me go, you know what, I want to check out Doom 1 ray tracing. I remember that coming out a few years ago. I wonder how that will run on my Radeon card. And again, pleasant surprise, it's running pretty good for the most part. Again, that glitchiness at the bottom with the HUD, I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. I did Google it, and other people are having that issue. But I didn't spend too much time looking into it. And in the few posts that I saw, nobody had a solution. So I don't know if that's a Radeon issue or maybe just a driver issue. Again, this is a few years old. I assume even the Radeon, you know, performance fixes are old at this point, and it's just possible something that a driver update is actually broke since then. So I'm not too sure, but again, not a big deal. I mean, it doesn't affect the gameplay. And again, Doom 2, if anything, does look maybe even more impressive. The Doom 2 ray tracing version that just came out recently, but like I said, I'm just a bigger fan of this episode 1 here. Like a lot of people, that's what I grew up playing. Just a shareware version of Doom on my dad's 486. My dad, I didn't live with my dad, so every other weekend I would go to my dad's house and I would play on the 486. And I used that thing more than he ever did. He never used it a whole lot. To be honest, the only reason he bought it is because his work wanted everyone to get, you know, learn computers or whatever. So it was one of those things where, like, his work gave him, like, $2,000 probably, I think it was, at the time to buy a computer. And this would have been in, like, probably 1993 or maybe 1994. And, yeah, he bought a compact Presario 425. It's a 486, but only an SX. 25 megahertz, hence the name. And yeah, I had a 3.5-inch floppy drive built in, but no CD-ROM drive, no sound card. And my first computer was a 286, an IBM PS2 286 that my mom bought me used around the same time, 1993, 1994. So I had my 286 at home, and my dad had the 486 at his house. And my IBM 286, I don't think they used standard ISA cards for expansion cards. I think the PS2s at the time had their own proprietary, IBM had their own kind of bus that they used for their expansion cards. So you'd have to find a sound blaster made for like the IBM PS2. But the funny thing is, I broke my IBM PS2 a few years after getting it. At the time, I think I would have been in grade 9, so this was 1995, 1996. By the way, we've got a flashlight now, because with these ray-traced lighting, there's some areas in this game that'll get very, very dark when you're not near a light source. So there's areas in this game that can get much darker than they did originally. So yeah, they added a flashlight, which is kind of cool. There are some points in the game where you'll definitely want to use that. But yeah, so anyways, when I was in grade 9, I was like curious what the inside of a hard drive looked like. So I pulled the hard drive out of my IBM 286 and opened it up, looked inside, went, oh, that's cool, and then closed it and put it back together, and of course, the system never booted up after that. And so my mom bought me another 286, and again, this was like 1995, 1996. A 286 at this time was very, very outdated, but I still liked having my own computer and playing older games on it. And going on BBS's with my 14.4 modem. And so she bought me another used 286, but the second 286 I got was more of a standard kind of PC clone. And it had a Sound Blaster Pro in it. And the Sound Blaster Pro was an ISA card, if I recall correctly. An 8-bit ISA card, if I recall correctly. And then when I would go to my dad's on the weekends, sometimes I would take the sound card out of my 286 and put it in his 486 to play, well, to play Doom and have music and proper gun sound effects and stuff. So yeah. So yeah, I was going to show you the settings here. So the graphics settings by default, video mode is in RT. We have VSync is turned on. The render size defaulted to 720p. I changed it up to 1080p. FSR is off by default. I turned this on to quality. I also tried the CRT interlacing. So if you don't turn on FSR, yeah, it's running a little laggier for sure. But if we turn on this CRT interlacing mode, you'll see image gets a little softer, and but it runs much, much smoother. I think this is even smoother than when we had FSR and quality. But sometimes you can see like the combing artifacts of the interlacing. Like sometimes you can tell that it's interlaced. So I think this being off, which again it is by default, and then turning FSR on to quality, I think that gives us the best balance between performance and image quality. I gotta go across that bridge to get the key. So yeah, in the 96 or so, I had a 286 with a sound card in it. My dad had a 486 without a sound card in it. But again, a few times at least I brought the sound card out of my 286 and brought it to my dad's house for the weekend and put it in the 486. Again, it was an all-in-one where everything was built into the CRT, but it did have a couple of expansion slots. At least one ISA slot. It might have had two. I think it had two. But it had a modem built in. I think the modem might have used one of them. So it had one free, and then if you wanted to use the modem, well, if you wanted to use the modem, I guess. If you didn't want to use the modem, then take it out. And you had a second. Good lord. This is freaking awesome. Even the modem, so the modem that I bought for my 286, I had an even on the IBM PS2, I bought an external 14.4 modem, brand new. And then even my dad's 486, it came with a modem, but it was only a 2400, I want to say. Like, it was really slow. Can't remember if there's switches in both of these I need to hit. So yeah, that compact Presario 425, I mean, it would have been a fairly cheap machine at the time. An SX 25 megahertz 486 would have been very slow for the time. Most people would want like a DX2 66. It'd be a much faster processor. And yeah, no CD-ROM drive, which by 1993, 1994 certainly would have been becoming a popular thing to have. Especially a sound card. Not having a sound card in 1993, 1994. Pretty crazy. And then, yeah, it had a built-in modem, but it was super slow, like 2400 baud. But yeah, I mean, it came with a printer and a bunch of software, and again, that thing was probably like $2,000 Canadian at the time. Maybe not though. Like maybe he only got $1,000. I don't know. I know computers were much more expensive back then. I guess it would have been 2,000, wouldn't it? Like, computers are pretty expensive back then. I remember the cover of Maximum PC magazine in like, it might have been 2000. Was like, holy shit, a computer for $1,000. Because I think in the year 2000, like, a computer only costing $1,000 was like a thing, right? And that was probably like a Celeron. Anyways, guys, I think we're gonna leave it here. This is pretty freaking awesome. Super easy to run. I think the Doom 2... I think the recent Doom 2 ray traced mod, it's a little bit harder. It's not just like a folder and you run it. You know, there's some like other things that you've got to install to get it running. And like I said, for me personally, I just kind of prefer Doom 1 anyways, so. Holy fuck. Man, this is so frigging awesome, though. This is really cool. I can't stop playing. I was not expecting to play for this long for this video. But here we are. Did I get a red key in here? I was not paying attention. I'm assuming I got the red key in here. This is gonna get difficult, so I'm gonna make sure I get every bit of health and armor that I can. I might be missing secrets, I don't remember. I never knew all the secrets in this game, and certainly there's ones I've forgotten. It's the other red door. Yeah, I gotta run through here, right? But I don't remember what else is down there. You're all like, you're missing the rocket launcher down there or something. Maybe. The hazmat suit. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I kind of remember this. Maybe. Not really. Oh my goodness. Oh, finding lots of cool secrets. We're back at the beginning of the level, though. But I've got a blue key now. Yellow key. Yellow key. I remember this level back in the day always giving me trouble because like everything looks the same. It was one of the more like very maze-like levels in the first episode anyways. And like a lot of the rooms look the same. Of course there's a map, which I always, well, rarely use, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's times where you're really, like, it's completely pitch black because there's no light sources nearby. Which makes sense. But of course in the original Doom, you would have had some lighting there. Just always had some lighting. Alright, so I'm gonna get back to the yellow door now. There we go. Oh, it's not even a door. Oh, okay. Well, that was fun. Oh, there's the exit. All right. All right, for real this time. I'm gonna leave it here. It's been a blast. Whoo-wee. This is pretty sick though, guys. Anyways, see you guys later.